My name is Océane and I'm French. I'm 23 years old and I recently graduated from the Wellbeing department. I'm really into material research and finding also ancient techniques and finding ways to innovate, finding a new or innovative productions or uses of those traditional techniques. That's my main passion right now. So my project is called Romanet, and it means airflow in French. And it's a project, basically my research is around alternatives for air conditioning. And I found these traditional techniques they used in the north of Africa, where they used to place those terracotta jars filled with water at windows, and then with the air going through, it would cool down the interiors. So my idea was to implement that within the traditional brick, so you could use it within a constructive way. And I experimented the terracotta to make the bricks, so I varied the temperature, the firing temperature, and the composition, so with chamotte or less chamotte. And the result is a kind of, so there's three different bricks. There's main part is very porous, so it absorbs and releases a lot of humidity, and then with the air going through it cools down the air. And the lowest part is more dense, so it retains the water. So first of all, I really like ceramics. I was really into making things with the ceramics and with my hands. But I also really wanted to do something like research for practical kind of application of ceramics, not only dinnerware or very subtle or delicate things. I was really looking for more constructive ways of using ceramics and what are the natural qualities of ceramics. So then I found all these projects around natural ventilation, and I wanted to connect that also for the problem of heat island effect. During the hot summer peaks, you always have that overuse of air conditioning, especially within buildings, and they release all that heat in the streets, and it's just a vicious circle. Then you have so much more heat in the streets, and they need more air conditioning. Yeah. So that's another way of finding natural ventilation.
And how do you think it worked out as a finished thing?
So it's basically my project. Now I made the bricks myself, so I have it somehow in a small scale, and it works out. But I would really like to produce it in a bigger scale, in an architectural scale, and then probably collaborate with architects or engineers, and then implement that within public spaces.
Yeah. Sort of answers the next question as well. Where do you think it will go?
Yeah. It's ideally, so I really see it in public spaces. And that's why also I like those smaller models where it's a kind of suggestion that you could have it maybe as a bus stop or maybe a park shelter, pavilion, and also areas where you can maybe have easy access to water. It's the same. You have it in the center. You have those fountains. You have those. Water is kind of really part of the town, but then you could also find ways to make it more functional. So. Yeah, it's ideally, so I really see it in public spaces, and that's why also I like those smaller models where it's a kind of suggestion that you could have it maybe as a bus stop or maybe a park shelter, pavilion, and also areas where you can maybe have easy access to water. It's the same. You have it in the center. You have those fountains. You have those. Water is kind of really part of the town, but then you could also find ways to make it more functional. So. The department is the Wellbeing department. So I think they're not very strict in the what should come out. If it's not really a product design department either. It doesn't really have barriers, but they really push you to look for a kind of problem or something you could solve. Taking something that already worked in the past, so that's this ancient technique they use with the terracotta jars, and kind of bring it to actual context. I mean, in total, I worked with this project for 6 months. But of course, at the very beginning, it's has no shape. It's just very vague. I think there was probably 2 months research, trying to find out what I wanted or what was interesting in all those like different architecture, like natural ventilation. How do you use those things? What can I get out of it? Or what can I change or implement? But apart from that, yeah, I think it's probably 2 months research, then 2 months again of experimenting, and then the last 2 months was production.